Hi, it's me, Brooks. Welcome to Heal This. Albert Einstein said that the future of medicine is frequency medicine. We all know that everything is energy, and energy is measured by vibration, and vibration is measured by frequencies. A lot of what I do is identifying or translating or understanding the frequencies that are happening in your body. So I'm reading frequencies, I'm reading vibration, I'm doing energy work. See, energy medicine. My guest today is Robin Barnes. She is a sound intuitive. And part of what she does is using sound to help heal the body and help heal even emotional things going on in your life. And it is completely fascinating. She uses tuning forks and sound bowls and a ton of other different kinds of sound and instruments. And I'm really curious to learn more and to understand a little bit more about how it works. So let's welcome Robin. Hi, Robin. Welcome.
Hi, Brooks. Great to see you again.
Yes. Thank you for being here today. And I'm really excited to talk about all the stuff that you do. I'm fascinated with it and I love it. And it's definitely helped me. So tell me a little bit about yourself as far as tell me what you do and how would you describe that?
Yeah, it's a good question. People people ask me that and I go, what do I do?
Yeah.
I'm sort of an amalgamation of a few different things. I think mostly it's all energy work, so that's really the common denominator. But more importantly, the work that I love is more sound based, frequency based. But I'm a Reiki master. I'm a Biofield tuning practitioner and instructor. I'm also in the past have done bioacoustic work. I really don't do that work so much anymore, mostly because I found that biofield tuning really kind of uh, encompasses more and is more effective and more efficient, at least for me. Um, so
Interesting.
biofield tuning work, and I'm a sound intuitive. Uh, I do sound baths in my area. I've done them online before as well. And my sound baths are probably the thing I'm most passionate about.
Yeah,
Yeah, I love the
I bet.
sound bath work that I do.
I bet it does. It's so healing, but it's just like a trance and it just helps you feel so calm and relaxed, of course. So okay, so let's talk about the biofield. Let's talk about why does it need tuning and what does it mean to have it tuned? So tell us about that because
Yeah,
not very many people know.
I know. And when I first started this work, I didn't know. I was coming from Reiki and bioacoustics. And Reiki, while it is energy work, was more kind of on the body energy work.
Mhm.
And even the bioacoustic work, which is taking a vocal print of the voice and using proprietary software programs to figure out what frequencies are off in the body. So everything in the body has a range of frequency, and so we could figure out what was off, and then deliver frequencies to help bring it back to equilibrium.
Yeah.
And fascinating work. And the Reiki to me was also fascinating work. But I found that was more physically oriented, both of those.
Mhm.
And honestly, I came to biofield tuning through Reiki because a lot of my peers around here were starting to use tuning forks. And I was
Mhm.
like, oh my gosh, I've got to learn something else. And so I knew a lot about frequency and sound at that point and its effect on the body through bioacoustics. And I thought, how do these people know what they're doing? You're just buying a tuning fork off of Amazon. And if you did, yesterday or the day before, you got Amazon Prime days. But uh,
True, true.
I thought, are you
Yeah.
So how do you know how a tuning fork is affecting the body? And
Right.
so I thought I can't just go buy a tuning fork and start waving it around somebody. I have to understand what's happening, what's going on there. And so I set out to learn about tuning forks. And there wasn't much at the time. This was like back in 2015. And so there wasn't a whole lot of information about tuning forks at the time. But I somehow found Eileen McCusick's work and
Hmm.
uh, and just kind of soaked it up. And what I found out about tuning forks and how she was using them in her modality is that the biofield, our energy field, which is all of this out here,
Hmm.
is sort of like a hard drive of everything in your life. It's the hard drive of everything that's ever happened to you, only it's out here energetically,
Hmm.
electrically. And so, that was really my first introduction to like, oh, there's something out here.
Right.
And so uh, I fell in love with the work mostly because not only did it address the physical aspects of imbalance, but it also addressed the emotional aspects, which that's all that stuff out here. It addressed the emotional aspects of imbalance. Um, and what's out in the field affects the body and vice versa.
Right.
So I really believe that that this modality addressed all of it, it kind of put together all of the pieces for me. So
Yeah.
emotional, physical, mental, spiritual, it kind of encompassed all of it for me.
Yeah. Thank you. And it's also scientifically proven that we actually have a 3-foot sphere around us of energy. This isn't something that, someone just made up somewhere. It's scientifically proven. And,
Right.
I kind of, my interpretation of us is, we are spiritual energy and physical bodies before we enter a physical body. I kind of feel like our spiritual energy is a sphere, and we are in this physical body, but that sphere is still out there. Does that make sense? Like, I just kind of feel like most of our spiritual energy is around our physical body, but it still extends out into that sphere.
Oh yeah, for sure. I mean, I agree with you. I believe the same thing. It's been proven to me time and time
Mm,
again. Even if I didn't subscribe to the scientific aspect of it, which of course we do know. I mean, we know that there are energy fields around things. Carillion photography shows us that.
right.
I mean, I'm sure you've heard and lots of people have read or heard about these experiments where you talk badly to a plant and you can see
Yes.
the results of that. You can see it
Yes.
energetically. So we all have this
And in
energy
the molecules of water too, all of the studies
of
done
water.
on water.
Dr.
Yes.
Emoto's work,
Yes.
and there are a number of other. I can't think of the woman's name right off
Yes. I
the
know
top.
who you're talking about.
Yeah,
Yes.
I'll try to look it up. But
Yeah.
there are a lot of people doing experiments on water and proving that uh, that sound and frequency and vibration has an effect on things, and it has an effect on us.
Absolutely.
We
Yes.
really are uh, a walking ball of sounds. We're a symphony of sounds, actually.
Yes. I love that. Yes.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
you said too, I was reading through your page, and it says, how does sound affect us? And you are so right. We are 80% water, right? And so if and sound travels through water fast, like,
Mhm.
it permeates right to a cellular level, right? And so it just makes sense that sound is medicine to our cells, but we just don't talk about it. It's not something that you're having a bad day, we'll go listen to calming music or these specific frequencies that will help you bring you back into a calming, resting place.
Yes. Yeah. Well, I think, energy is subtle but
Hmm.
powerful.
Hmm.
And
Yes.
we are really not taught, just like you just said, we are not taught how important our energy field is. And indeed, in our work, it extends 5 to 6 feet off of the body. That's where we start. It's about 5 to 6 feet off the body, is what we call the edge of our biofield. But we're really infinite. We really have no
Absolutely.
boundary, so to speak.
That's right.
But we are not taught from the get go that our
Mm-mm.
energy is equally as important. Our energetic field is equally as important as our physical body. And one cannot be healthy without the other. So they work
So true.
together. And
Yes.
indeed, there are a lot of people who say our brain is not really inside inside of us. It's really out here. It's really
Yes.
outside of us.
Yes.
So and we're affected by everything coming at us. That's why people, get affected by a full moon or solar flares or all of these things indeed affect us.
Yes.
But it's
And
it that
and I think we were built to have them affect us. It's just that we don't talk about it. We are supposed to do things in a flow. We are supposed to do things seasonally, and seasonally is even throughout the day. It's like there's a rhythm and we are supposed to be in it, and we are constantly resisting the rhythm. And so I think all of that it makes complete sense to me. And when I am in the flow of all of it, when I'm listening, to all of that, I feel so good. And so, but we aren't teaching that in school. We aren't teaching that from the get go. So we're constantly resisting it and then wondering why we have this pain, or and also, this isn't just work that we're doing in our physical body in this lifetime. I mean, this is stuff that we are affected. You said something to me the other day that I'm like, oh my gosh, it's so good. But you talked about it through the mother's lineage, and how women are born with all the eggs that they're ever going to have in their body, right? But think about that. Like, that's like the little Russian dolls all stacked inside of each other.
Oh yeah. Yeah, I mean, you know, another thing that's not spoken about, until kind of recently, scientists are beginning and psychologists, psychotherapists are beginning to understand that what happened to us in the womb, what happened to us prior to being in the womb, before
Yes.
conception, before gestation,
Right.
all of that is affecting us. And that's
Yes.
the whole sort of ancestral aspect of our lives that people don't, most people honestly don't know exists. Us energy workers do. We hear about, our ancestral uh, um, patterns and things, but most people don't know about that. They don't have any
Hmm.
clue about it.
No.
But whatever the mother went through in her life, she was carrying that egg that became you. And
Right.
so you've received a dose of whatever your mom went through in her life.
Right.
There's some energetic imprint of that. And
Hmm.
because when she was uh, a an egg in her mother's womb,
Yeah.
or, body, she also received energetic imprint of whatever her mother went through. So you can
Right.
see how these ancestral patterns can get passed on, just that's energetically. But
Yes.
then you lay on top of that, the physical patterning that gets passed down. So, for instance, alcoholism is a good one, right?
Sure.
Oh yeah, My grandfather was an alcoholic, his father was an alcoholic, my father was an alcoholic, or mother, or whatever it is.
Right.
And we can see that, being passed down through generations of family, and that's a visible kind of physical thing you can see. But energetically, we get these patterns passed down as well.
Yes.
And that's sort of, it's good and bad,
Right.
because there are a lot of good things that get passed down as well. But the good news is that even if there are non-beneficial patterns that we have been carrying or being passed down all these generations, the tuning forks can get into that ancestral aspect of our biofield, and I can
Yes.
hear it
Yeah.
in the tuning forks. And the tuning fork is the coherent vibration, the
Yes.
coherent pattern. And so when it meets out in the biofield, the dissonance, the the um
Yes.
the the
The
the
discord.
entanglement
Yeah.
of
Yeah.
the non-beneficial energy that's out there, the non-beneficial energy wants to be in flow, just like a
Yes.
river wants to
Yes.
flow downstream.
Yes,
Energy
it
wants
does.
to be in flow by just its very nature. And so when it's stuck out here, it wants to be in flow. And when the
Mm.
coherent vibration of the tuning fork meets that dissonance, the energy goes, oh my gosh, I
Yes.
recognize that. That's coherence and that's flow. And that's what I want to be. And because energy can be anything it wants, a
Right.
table, a chair, a
Mhm.
river, an animal, whatever, it can transmute, it can alchemize, and it can become flow again. And so anything that's out there can be alchemized and it can become coherent. And
Yes.
so, when we find that dissonance out in the field, that is entanglement and stress, and that
Yes.
also mirrors the body. So somewhere in the body,
Yes.
there's entanglement and there's stress. So as we can untangle it in the field, we also untangle it in the body.
Yes. So beautifully put. I'm chills like the whole time. So I love it. Um, yes. I mean, this is what we need to be talking about and learning so that we are calming our nervous system and thinking about and when I come to see you, so we'll be working and you are so well trained. Your ear is so well trained and hearing the sound and the frequencies because you will be using the tuning forks and I can hear them. But then you're like, do you hear that? And it's not until you say, do you hear that? And see, for me, this is where the intuitive work, this is calling you to it. And you're like, oh, this is part of why I'm here and to do this. And so you're showing it to me and other clients I know. And then as soon as you point it out to me, I'm like, oh yeah, I do know what that is. And then as you listen intuitively, it's like, well, there's something here that we need to work on. And then it's kind of like, for me as an intuitive, I'm like listening, watching, the first thing that just comes to my mind. I'm like, oh, that's what this is then,
Mm,
because
yeah.
it's speaking to me, through the sound and the frequency. And then we start talking about it. And as we talk about it, it's like, it's healing to kind of bring it to the forefront. And that's what energy wants, is to be recognized and to then flow. Right. It's like, I'm
Yeah.
hiding here. I'm stuck here. You're not recognizing me. And I need you to recognize me so that I can flow again.
Yeah, I think a good part of our job as as practitioners are to witness our clients,
Yeah.
because sometimes the things that we find have been so deeply hidden,
Hmm.
or they've never spoken to this thing uh, to
That's right.
anybody. They never talked about it to anybody. It's been buried, or they it was so long ago they don't even remember that it was there.
Right.
Um, and so part of our job is really just to witness. whatever it is that comes out, and
Mm-hmm.
provide that safe space so
Mm-hmm.
that whoever is on the table is free to just allow whatever comes out to come out.
Yes.
And, I think a lot of us, not just practitioners, I mean, all of us here on the planet,
Mm-hmm.
um, there are a lot of us coming in at this point in time to transmute a lot of these ancestral patterns
I totally
that
agree.
are non-beneficial, that
Mm-hmm.
keep ramping up and ramping up and ramping up until we're, in a country divided, and it's
Yep.
me against you or us against them, or I mean,
Yep.
it's non-beneficial. It doesn't serve anyone.
Right.
And I don't
Yes.
know all the answers, but I do know that when I can bring relaxation to somebody and alchemize anger and tension, then they're not carrying that out into the world.
Yes.
And that
Yes.
to me is sort of where we all need to be going.
Yes. Yeah. Okay. So that brings up two things. I don't want to forget. I want to say both. But I try to tell people all the time, we are 99.9% the same, down to a cellular level. Like we all have the same things we're trying to do. We have to do them every day to survive, right? And then we extend that just a little bit further out, and we want that for our families too, right? Like we all have these same desires and wants, and in even a little bit further out, right? But we tend to focus on the resistance and the differences and the things that actually we should be celebrating the uniqueness of each of us, right? But instead we're focusing on it and we're kind of attacking it, and then isolating it away. And
Mm,
so that really that's where and I think you would agree with me. Like when someone comes into my office, I see them as energy. I see them as, at the very base, that we are all made from energy. And I am just trying to extend and shine light on anything that I can help bring forward, and with love, right? It's like I'm not looking at anything else, because that is at that moment insignificant to me, right? It's like I'm just trying to
yeah,
help.
yeah. I mean, I totally agree. I mean, I am not asking somebody when they walk in my door, are you Republican or Democrat?
Right. No. Yeah. It
Because
doesn't matter.
it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. And I guarantee you, the
Right.
people who are over on the eastern part of my state in Tennessee, helping the hurricane survivors, and in western North
Right.
Carolina, helping the hurricane survivors. And right now, we've got this horrible hurricane for the second time happening in Florida. They're not going and asking somebody,
Right.
what their political affiliation is before they help them. It doesn't matter. We're all humans, and we
Right.
all have really the same goals
Yes.
underneath it all. And that is
True.
to be at peace,
Yes.
and to be in joy.
That's right.
INJOY.
That's right.
And I don't think anybody really likes living in angst. I think
Right.
it's heartbreaking for
Mm-hmm.
me, as a practitioner. Like, I want
Mm-hmm.
everybody to be in joy,
Mm-hmm.
um, and living in peace without stress and anxiety. But the more that stress and anxiety gets ramped up, the more combative we become, and the
Right.
more uh, us against them we become. And I try to do my part to get people out of that place, to let
Yep.
go of the stress, let go of the anger, transmute it. I can't just
Yep.
talk to somebody and say, well, you really shouldn't be angry.
No.
That doesn't
Mm-mm.
do anything for anybody.
Mm-mm. No.
It's if 50% of it is physical, 50% of it is energetic. And you
Yes.
can't do one without the other. They go hand in hand.
That's true.
So, and my job is really to see the light in everybody who comes through my door, and I do, because it's my job to help them find that within themselves and to show it to them. Some people don't
Yes.
even realize they have it,
Yes.
and we all have it. It's
Mhm.
just sometimes more buried in others, than
True.
some people than others. So yeah,
So
but we can
true.
all get there.
We can.
Yeah.
Yes. It's a partnership between client and practitioner where it's like I always say I'm like I'm just holding space for the energy. I'm like I'm not really doing anything. I'm just being a conduit for you for a moment so that you can do the work, because that's the part when you leave there that the work is really happening on your end as a client, right? The practitioner is like holding space, sound frequency is changing and the energy is flowing again. Okay, your job is to work on the thoughts and the, like behaviors that come along with that. So yeah, it's all it's a partnership. And
Oh
the other
gosh.
part, oh, so do you want to add something? Sorry. I
Well,
want to
I mean, I agree 100% with that. I I I don't call myself a healer. I'm a facilitator. I'm
Yes.
really good
Yeah.
understanding the language of the tuning forks, but I can't
Yes.
do what I do without the person on the table being 100% there for themselves. I can only
That's right.
find what the person on the table is allowing to come up.
That's right.
So I'm not doing the healing, if you want to use that word. It's the
Right.
person on the table. I'm
Yeah.
merely a facilitator.
That's
Yeah.
right. Yeah, I love that. And I totally agree. I love it. Um, so the other part of what you were saying before, I was listening to a podcast a couple of days ago, and Dr. Joe Dispenza was on there, and I love him. I just love everything he has, his take on all of it. But something that he said that kind of just really resonated with me is that, there's a lot of us who are trying to manifest in our life. We're trying to get to that next spot, and we know it's there, but we're just so struggling. And he just said that, it's a really large percentage of everyone running around in fight or flight. And he
Mm,
said, you just don't understand that our bodies, are controlling all of these hormones and these other levels that are happening in our physical body, right? And so we're not able to come down into a place of relaxation and rest and digest kind of a thing, right? And that place of peace and calm and safety is where all of the manifesting can start. It can't actually start when we are like, oh my gosh, our head's on a swivel and we're going to not be able to, we're trying to protect ourselves. We're not in a place of what's next.
mm.
What's the next level up? Um, and doing what you do, you are bringing people into that peaceful calm so that they can look at their next manifestation of their life. What are
Oh
your
yeah.
thoughts on that?
Yeah. I mean, I truly believe that, well, think about it this way. If our biofield is a hard drive for everything that's happened in our
Yes.
lives energetically, um, if you can, do you remember Pigpen from the Charlie Brown characters?
Yes.
This
Yes.
big, huge cloud of dust all around him.
Hmm.
I kind of see the biofield that way. So
Yes.
all of that dust swirling all around us all the time is the filter through which we see our lives. And
That's good.
all of this dust in front of us is what is informing all of our decisions,
Sure.
all of our moves in life. So we say, oh, I think, oh, gosh, I want to go do that thing. And the little piece over here, way, way back here says, remember how that turned out way, way back? Nuh-uh, don't do
Yeah.
that. Or the little piece, says, you say, gosh, I want to go do that thing over there. And this little piece says, yeah, maybe, but you better watch out for this and that and these other
Hmm.
things. So all of these things are informing us, all of these pieces of energetic charge that are stuck out here. So
Mm-hmm.
as we can find those pieces in the biofield with the coherence of the tuning forks and bring that stuck energetic charge back into flow.
Right.
So, I mean, that's a whole other topic. What does that even mean, bringing it back into flow? What does that mean? Where's it going? So we have this kind of central channel. We're
Yes.
connected to the earth, we're connected to the sun, and we have this central channel of energy that flows through us that is bidirectional. So we draw energy up from the earth and it comes out and goes down and around.
Mm-hmm.
And then we have the flow from the sun that comes down and then out and up. So it's this bidirectional flow with this kind of central channel. Lots of people have heard of your chakra system, your chakra energy system. And that's
Mm-hmm.
all part of that
Mm-hmm.
energetic flow. So as we have stress in our lives, little pieces of this central flow, it's really light. We're electric. We're made up of
Yes.
negative and positively charged energy. So, as we have a stress event in our life, a little piece of that light, and this is scientifically proven, whenever something is under
Mm-hmm.
stress, it emits a stress frequency or a
Mm-hmm.
stress energy. It's called a photon or a
Mm-hmm.
biophoton. It's measurable by science. And so we emit these little pieces of stress frequency or light that's coming from this central flow. And these little pieces get stuck. They get stuck out here in the biofield because they don't get the opportunity to resolve. So as we
Yes.
find these stuck pieces of energetic charge, this dissonance that's out there going, oh, I don't know. I can't, no, I'm not going to do that. Or that's
Right.
not safe. It's not safe for me to step out and be my beautiful, bright self. As we find those pieces of charge and bring them into coherence and bring it back into flow, two things are happening. One, we're increasing our voltage again.
Mm-hmm.
And we're increasing our light energy, which makes us more vibrant.
Mm-hmm.
But it's also clearing up all of these stuck pieces that are out here that we're seeing through, that have been informing our every decision and our every move, for better or
Right.
for worse. So as we begin to clear those up and bring them back into flow, we begin to see more clearly. And then
Right.
we can see, oh, this is what I want to do. This is my next step in life, or
Mm-hmm.
I want to pursue that. And you've got the voltage and the fire to be able to do that.
Yeah. That makes sense to me. And you always have such a good way of putting things. I love it. You've been doing this for a little while, haven't you?
A little while. I started my journey with tuning forks back in 2015.
Nice.
And
Yeah.
studied with Eileen McCusick, who's, I mean, this work is brilliant, and
Yep.
she's brought it to the world, and I'm, so grateful to be a part of it. Really,
Yeah.
I do the work, but I also am fortunate to be able to teach the work for her, and I love bringing new students to a place where they go, oh my gosh, I can do this. I remember when I first did Reiki, right? I went, my background is accounting. So, I'm I'm
I
the in
love
the
it.
box person. So
Yeah.
energy was like, what is this stuff? I don't know
Right.
about this. But I remember going to my first Reiki. It was a Reiki share, and they're talking about energy and trying to feel it on the body. And I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm feeling nothing. Like, I have no idea what these people are doing. Maybe they're
Right.
crazy. Maybe I'm crazy because I came here.
Yep.
But, the
Mm.
first time I felt that energy, I was like,
Yeah.
oh my gosh, they're not crazy. Like,
Yeah.
it's right. I feel it. It's right there. Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
And so I think that same, um, just joy and oh my gosh, there's something here, I can't see it, but there's something here, was such an amazing revelation for me and
Mhm.
feeling. And so I love bringing students to that point, whether through Reiki or through the tuning fork work. So I just love it.
Yeah. Well, and I think that's why you're so good at it, is because you love it so much. Because you just really, it's a passion of yours, and you can feel it, and I appreciate that. So thank you.
Aw, thank you.
Oh, well, okay, so tell me about before all of this. Like, what you said you were in accounting. So what happened? What happened in your life that you thought, I need to figure out something else, or what were you looking for? Tell me what
Yeah.
happened.
When I was a little kid, I loved rocks. I had no idea why I loved rocks or trees. Like, if you couldn't find me, look up. I was in a tree somewhere. And so I think there was an inherent affinity for the energy of trees and the energy of rocks. I had no clue what that was when I was a little kid. Was just drawn to those things. Um, and then, when I was in my uh, 20s, I met a woman who introduced me to more. She probably was the first person I ever knew who was a psychic,
Hmm.
or had maybe even ever heard the term psychic.
Sure.
Um, and so I started to get a little bit of a taste of energy. I had no interest in kind of studying it at that point. I was doing accounting. I lived in Connecticut at the time, and I was doing accounting, and I was singing. So I was a professional singer at the time, and
Nice.
running into New York City to study acting. And there, your 20s, you don't have a clue, and you have so much energy. I wish that could reverse.
I know, that's true.
Anyway, so so I had started to learn a little bit about what energy was, and then I kind of moved away from all of that because I got married, I had kids, and um, but I think all along the way, even in my 20s, I started to read. Um, oh my gosh, what are those books called? Uh, Neil Donald Walsh, Conversations with God.
Okay.
And and those books changed my life at the time. Um, and I had a tumultuous childhood, like many of us, and so I was looking for my way in life and
Hmm.
how to connect. Like, I felt totally disconnected from myself, from people, and so I kind of started that journey in my 20s. But it wasn't until I got into my 40s and really like early 50s, I got divorced and was a single mom raising my kids, that I really began to focus more specifically on myself and how do I heal from all of this. And so I think any journey, especially if you become a practitioner, it's
Yes.
based in your own healing journey and what has worked for you and what resonates with you. I love biofield tuning, but it's not the end all, be all to end all, or whatever, however you say that.
Right.
It's one modality, and there are lots of modalities out there. This is
Yes.
just the one that I felt was the most effective for me, and that I can see is incredibly effective for my clients. But it definitely has been a healing journey along the way. So, I kind of started with bioacoustics, which is the vocal print work, and that really helped me understand physically, how do we heal the body physically without medicine, without conventional medicine.
Hmm.
That kind of led me to the Reiki work, which was like, oh my
Hmm.
God, energy. Like, whoa, what the
Hmm.
heck is this? And I kind of reconnected with rocks again. And I, ran up to the attic and dug all my rocks out from my 20s, the
Yeah.
little pile that I had. And then I started collecting more rocks. I don't recommend it. It's an endless, it's an endless hole of spending money collecting
That's
rocks.
so
But
funny.
anyway, I love all my rocks.
I,
Um,
I I get that too.
so, so it's all been a journey, and part of it is physical healing, part of it is emotional healing, part of it is spiritual healing, mental.
Yes.
So, I think everybody finds what works best best for them. And you
Hmm.
know, and I don't think any one modality is better than another.
I agree. Yeah. I think, you know, I've talked about it before, but mind, body, soul kind of a thing, right? Our energy is all intertwined, and we've worked really hard to separate it and just say, these are our thoughts over here, and these are our emotions, and this is our physical body, and this is our spirituality, and so it's just all been kind of compartmentalized. When I think when we were made, I think source kind of decided that it's all together, we're it's all connected, all of the energy, everything in the, you know the space is mostly empty, right? When you're looking at us, we're mostly empty, but what you're seeing is the energy, the in between, and it's all talking to each other, and so that's the part that a lot of times we stuff things in those spots, and we hide it away, and that's the stuff that's living in our body and hurting in our back or our neck, or giving headaches or things like that. And so those are the things that that usually ends up in our offices, right, where we're kind of or a stuck thought process or a belief system that's like we don't understand it. Why won't it go away? So I appreciate all of that. And I love too how you were studying music. You were, using your voice, and do you still use your voice? Do you do
Yeah.
chanting, or do you do any other kind of vocal,
Yeah.
therapies or anything?
So I don't do anything specific, but I do sound baths. I'm in the Nashville, Tennessee area, so I do sound baths in my area, and I
Yeah,
do use my voice. I didn't when I first started doing sound baths.
sure.
I kept it to my bowls and my drums and all my
Mm.
things, and then um, I forget what happened, but at some point I thought maybe I should maybe I should
Yeah.
use my voice somehow. And I didn't even know how. I wasn't sure what that meant even.
Hmm.
And so I just started kind of toning into a frame drum. I don't think, yeah, I do. I have my frame drum. I'll grab it here real quick.
Okay.
But I just started, this is my frame drum. I love this frame drum. And I just started like,
Oh, wow.
so I just started toning into this frame drum.
Wow.
I was like, oh my gosh, what the heck just happened? And so because it kind of blew me away. I really hadn't used my voice in a really long time. I had been a professional singer, but that was really kind of in my 20s. Um, and then I had my kids, and then I got divorced, and I just forgot about my voice, honestly. I just kind of forgot
I
about
think
my
that
voice.
happens. Yeah.
And when I picked up the frame drum and started toning into it, it was like, oh my gosh, there's my voice. Like,
Yeah.
wow. And so I did that quite a bit, just for myself, in the privacy of my home. And then I don't know if somebody said something to me or what it was, but I took a brave step to do it in my sound baths.
Yeah.
And once I started doing it in my sound baths, the kind of the whole world opened up
Mm.
for me, in a lot of ways. I kind of came to my voice,
Hmm.
and sharing it in a whole different way than I did when I was, in a band and singing on stage and
Yeah.
performing. Uh,
Right.
this was a whole different. This was coming more from my heart, and it was more about
Mm,
sharing.
yeah.
So, yeah, it changed my sound work exponentially.
I bet.
And indeed, your voice is your greatest asset for healing. Your voice
Mhm.
is uniquely tuned to you. I mean, I know I have a pretty voice, but it's not about that. It's really just about making a sound.
Yes.
Your body is talking to you all the time. We
Mhm.
ignore it. We ignore the hurt, the ache in the shoulder. I'll just take an aspirin.
Mhm.
Just who's got the Tylenol? We mask it. But it's really the body saying, "Pay attention to me. I have something to say." And
Mhm.
and it needs to be vocalized. So even if you just go and you just make a sound, if you
Yeah.
keep feeding it air and you keep making the tone is going to change, and it's going to begin to speak its truth.
That's right.
And the truth might be deep sadness. It might be anger.
Right.
It might be frustration. But whatever it is, that's the body telling you, I have something to say. And
Yes.
our standard way of dealing with it is to take a pill. Doctor,
Yes.
why is this hurting?
Yep.
Oh, no, let's give you a steroid shot.
Mm.
Or let's, I mean, whatever it is.
Yeah.
I mean, and there are times when you do physically
Yes.
hurt yourself and you need to go to
Yes.
the doctor. I'm not
Yes.
saying don't go to the doctor.
I know.
I have great respect for conventional medicine, but there's
Absolutely.
lots going on in our bodies that
Mhm.
we can take care of ourselves. And it's
That's right.
the compilation of years and years and years of not allowing the body to speak that
Yes.
eventually end up with a torn rotator cuff or a hip
Right.
replacement or a knee
Right.
replacement or oh, I rolled my ankle. Well, that's
Right.
because there's already a weakness there, because the
Yes.
energy is stuck there, or maybe has been for years and years and years, and finally those muscles and bones and tissue that haven't been getting a 100% flow of energy finally start to become weak.
Mhm.
And that's when we get a rolled ankle, or that's when we get, I hurt my shoulder at the gym, or I did this, or I did that, because there is already a weakness there. And so you
Yes.
have to look at those. And then we are like, oh, now I got to, rehab. I got to go to PT, or what a pain in the neck.
It's true.
We don't even
It's
honor it
true.
when we've heard it. We
Yes.
still keep, blasting it.
Well,
God.
and even it doesn't even have to be all the way to that extent. I mean, there's lots of times where I like my stomach will be really bloated, right? Or I'll feel tightness in my joints and my skin, and I'm thinking, well, this is my body telling me something. And I encourage people all the time to just say, what am I feeling right now? What is going on in my body? What is this? And then listen. And, and sometimes it's like, well, you shouldn't have eaten that, you shouldn't have drank that. And then, yeah, that's what it was. It was my body saying, I don't like that. It causes inflammation for me. So don't eat it or drink it. And something else you said is like, well, you can't live your truth unless you're speaking your truth. And sometimes you need to find the words. We don't even know the extent of the emotions that we feel all the time. It's always just, I'm mad, sad, angry, tired, right? It's not, well, I feel really betrayed because you rejected me and I'm feeling a lack of love unreceived, right? Like, I mean, it goes really long into deep emotions that we don't really actually acknowledge, and we can't really know what they are unless we really kind of go down that journey of, well, I don't really know why I'm sad, let me talk about it. And I encourage people all the time, just talk to yourself, push the voice memos on and record it and listen back. You'll be surprised what you tell yourself that you didn't know was there. And then you can't know your truth unless you're actually living your truth, right? You have to be living it. And practicing it to go, oh yeah, this is what I actually believe. And so it's all just stuck in there. And that's why it's so important to keep the movement of the flow of the energy and shining the light on it often enough to go, oh, what is that? Why is that stuck in the shadow there? Let's take a look at it. So yeah, all of that is happening. So
Yeah, I
causing
mean,
physical pain in our physical bodies. Sorry.
oh, for sure. I mean, and that's why we have these bodies is
Yes.
to
Yes.
it's our
As a
vehicle.
gauge.
It really
Yes.
is. It's our vehicle for experiencing life. And
Yes.
experiencing life is all about our palette of emotions. You know, we
Yes.
don't just live in pink, or we don't just live in yellow, or we don't just live in
Right.
blue. We live in all of it.
Yes.
And it's our job as the driver of this vehicle that we have to honor it and
Yes.
to honor it.
Yeah.
Honestly, that's the thing. And the more we can honor this vehicle that we have for however long we have it in this life, and treat it with love and respect, we can't help but do the exact same to everybody outside of us.
Mm-hmm. It's true.
Because you can only treat other people as well as you treat yourself.
Yes.
That's really the bottom line. And if we're all paying attention to ourselves and honoring ourselves and being full of ourselves,
Mm-hmm.
then we can share that with the world. And that's, to me, what we're here to do: share ourselves with the world in the best way possible.
That's right. Yeah. So that means you have to show up for yourself, like you said, and honoring yourself, listening to yourself,
And
yeah,
it's a big job.
expressing. It's a job. It's a full-time job.
It
Really
truly
is.
is. It's
Yes.
hard work maintaining this
Yeah.
vehicle. You have to
And it,
exercise, you have to eat right, you
yeah.
have to honor your feelings
S-
and your emotions and
Sleep.
go with that. You've got to sleep.
Yeah.
I mean, yes, that is exhausting. And then we have to work,
I know.
right?
I
We got to
know.
earn money.
Yes. Yes. And then
So
have fun. You have to have fun. You got to put that in there too. It is. It's a full-time job, and it's also it's our job, right? And I think, and you'll know what I mean as I go on with this, but it's like it's a lot of responsibility to put on other people, and we tend to think that my emotional where I am emotionally is somebody else's job. No, that's your job. And it's not fair to put that on a bunch of other people out there. Like, this is your job, and so, yeah, that's a whole other story. But I was just going to ask you really quickly before we wrap up, but where would you say healing begins? Like, what does that look like for someone who is looking for, they don't really know what to do first? What do you say to them when they come in?
The fact that they came in is the first step. The fact that they came in means that they've recognized within themselves that something's off, that something doesn't feel right,
Mhm.
that something feels empty, something's missing. So the first step is, to me, is recognizing that within yourself. Recognize, gosh, I'm not happy. And everything that I've been doing on my own isn't helping me. So
Yeah.
what do I need to do if all the things that I've been doing in the past aren't helping me feel better? Then what do I need to do? What different decision do I need to make in order to feel better? And maybe that is going to see a therapist, going to get a massage, going to see a biofield tuning practitioner, whatever it is. If
Mhm.
you don't feel, I have a friend who hasn't been feeling well, and I can apply this to lots of people who
Mhm.
they're not feeling well. And I even had a client, this was a while back, who, I mean, went to doctor after doctor after doctor, and the doctors could not diagnose anything. They couldn't find anything, but she was miserable. She wasn't happy. She physically felt horrible. And finally, her husband called and said, told me the story and asked me if I would see her. And I said, sure. And so she came in, and I'm talking with the husband, and she's filling out her paperwork. And she put the pen down when she was finished, and she looked me right in the eye and she said, I just want you to know I don't believe in any of this stuff. I'm just here because my husband wants me to be. I was like, okay, but she came, so
Right.
it was a step. But, I think that, and I'll go back to what I said earlier, that your physical body is only half of the story
Yeah.
for health. Your energy body is the other half of the story. And
Yes.
if you're not dealing with things energetically and only dealing with things physically, you're missing the boat. You might feel good for a little while until that
Right.
pill doesn't work anymore. And then you go back to the doctor and you need a different pill.
Yes.
And my feeling about this client and other people who have, told me about their aches and pains is, and the doctors haven't found anything, is, maybe it's energetic.
Sure.
Maybe you need to look at things energetically.
Yes.
So it's, I think for anybody, I think the energy route is harder just because it's not conventional.
Right.
But more and more and more people are beginning to learn about energy work. I mean, they even have Reiki in hospitals now. I mean,
For
holy,
sure.
holy
Yes.
cow.
Yep.
That's huge. That's a huge thing that
Yes.
the medical world is recognizing energy work. And my feeling is, and I'll go back to something you said at the very beginning, and that is frequency is medicine. Sound is the medicine of the future.
Yes.
And
It is.
indeed, as soon as the medical community can figure out how to how to control all of that, they will,
Yep. Well.
or they'll at least be delivering frequency for healing purposes. I mean, there are places that are already doing it. They do it with kidney stones, right?
True.
They use
Right.
ultrasound frequency, sound to break up kidney stones instead of going in and doing surgery. So they
Yep.
already are there just a little teeny bit. But
Yep.
the wave of the future will be sound and frequency for healing. And there
I
will
agree.
always be a place for,
For
standard
sure.
conventional medicine. If I get hit by a Mack truck, get me to the hospital.
Right.
Don't take me home and do energy work on me, please. Take me
Yes.
to the
No.
hospital.
It's
So
it's it's there's a time and a place for all of it.
yeah.
And what is your thoughts about going outside and grounding and hugging a tree? They just did all these studies about, they're like, oh, the hippies were right. Actually hugging a tree lowers cortisol levels and raises all the good stuff, right? All the
Yeah. Oh my God.
oxytocin and all that. And yeah, I mean, and then I'll just throw this in there too. Esther Hicks says feeling good is doing the work, right? Like if you're not feeling good, then there's something off, and it's usually it begins energetically, right? Everything begins energetically. Somewhere there's some stuck emotion or
Yeah.
thought process or whatever. So I always, I talk about grounding a lot. Like, when was the last time you went outside and just, let the earth hold all of your stuff for you? Like you said, we're connected. So
We're connected to the earth. We're connected to the sun. Grounding is crucial. I remember I was doing I used to do, train people on computer programs, and I had been hired to train this company. It's down towards Memphis, and I was in this sweet little town. It had a beautiful little kind of central court yard, and there were these ginormous trees surrounding, inside this kind of courtyard place. I think I was on my lunch break, and I just happened to kind of lean against one of the trees, and the tree started talking to me. And I have to tell you, I jumped off of that tree so fast. I was like, what was that?
Yes.
Um, and uh, and it said, and it just kept talking to me. It said, I'm talking to you, and it's
Hmm.
okay. You can lean against me again. And that sort of began my reintroduction to trees. I mean, I climbed them when I was little, but
Yes.
I don't know that I ever consciously talked to one. Um, so yeah, I think hugging a tree is a good thing.
Yeah.
Grounding is really important. All of those things are really
Hmm.
important. Anything you can do to connect to the earth, because we really have been,
Yep.
I guess, conditioned to believe that we're not connected to the earth anymore. What do you mean
Right.
grounding? What do you mean take my shoes off and walk on the dirt, walk on the
Hmm.
grass, you know, but it's electric. We're
It
we're
is.
we're drawing up the electric field from the earth, and it's moving through us. That's why we're
Yes.
connected to all of these things. Earthquakes, we
Yeah.
feel them, and we're
We can
designed to feel solar
we can
flare.
feel the storm coming in the air, right? So,
Yeah, full moon, when
yes.
I used to sing in the bars, on a full moon, it was crazy on a full
Hmm.
moon. It
Yes.
was just people were more wacky on a full
Yeah.
moon, and
It's
we knew
true.
it. We'd
Yeah.
be like, "Oh my god, it's a full moon tonight. It's gonna be crazy in here." And it
Yeah.
would be, as opposed to other nights when it wasn't a full moon.
Yeah.
And that's energy.
It is.
It's just
Yeah. And
energy. So we have to feel the feels. You can't,
yes.
going back to what you said earlier, you can't, you have to feel it to heal it. I know that sounds so
No, I love that stuff. That's awesome.
ridiculous, but it's true. You can't heal your body by just thinking it through. You
Right.
have to heal
Yeah.
your body by allowing the tension to be removed, or to be expressed or released. And that's emotion. It's emotional
Expression.
tension that is
Yeah.
trapped in the body. Matter of fact,
Yeah.
Eileen says, if you had to disseminate what we do down to like one sentence,
Mhm.
she will say, we heal emotional constipation.
There you go.
Yep.
That's right. I
Yeah.
I totally believe that.
Yeah.
Um, I think we talked about it a little bit, but I'm doing the emotion code a lot, and I've found it's fascinating work too. It's, you know, trapped emotions in your physical body that are contributing to other things, and we can, through muscle testing, find it back to the age that it got
Mhm.
trapped. And even if we do inherited work, through what lineage it was, right? And so it's kind of it's fascinating to me. I just love it. And also, to add there, for my spiritual practice, a lot of the times when I'm, if I'm feeling really anxious or very stressed out, I will just step out into my backyard onto the grass, and I can see, a ton of trees. And if I just can watch the flow of them and just
Mhm.
try to go into the flow of what those trees are doing, and to just feel the wind on my face and to breathe. And I encourage it all the time, just to ask the earth to hold the space for what you're feeling, and to even, like you said, you could either go, ugh, or whatever, or just speak it out into the earth. Nobody needs to hear it. It's just you, but you're hearing it, And so I think we're saying a lot of the same things, and I love it. And when you're excited about it and you're passionate about it and you love it, you want to share it, and you want to help people get to the place where they can feel it too. And I definitely feel like that's part of my job. And I know that you feel that too. And so I'm grateful our paths have crossed. And, it's all about, it's called healing, heal this, because we all have a this, right? And it's
We
like,
all do. We all do. Nobody is perfect. We're all human. I'm
yeah,
just a few steps ahead of my clients.
right. Yeah,
I'm not
that's
perfect.
right.
I have all my own stuff, you know.
That's right.
It's a journey. It's an archaeological dig. You know, you're constantly
Yeah,
finding, oh, there's a little piece of that, like a little splinter still, or you know, I kind
right,
of liken it to an iceberg. You know, you can, oh, there's the tip of that iceberg. I see that. Let's do that, and then you don't know how much of the iceberg is still underwater there.
right.
So, you know,
Yeah,
some of our stuff runs deep and it's
it
not
does.
going to come out all at once. You know, a little bit at a time, like an archaeological dig.
That's
And
right.
I'm just a few steps ahead of my clients.
Yeah, that's right.
Hopefully. Yeah.
Well, is there anything else that you want to share or talk about today?
No, thank you so much. This has been delightful chatting with you and spending
Absolutely.
time. I love this.
Me too. And I want people to find you. So tell people where they can find you, whether it's your website or if you're on social media anywhere.
I am. I'm on all the things. So Instagram, I am at Sounds for the Soul. On TikTok, I'm sounds for, that's the number for the soul.
Nice.
Instagram is the word sounds for
For the
FOR,
soul.
the soul.
Okay.
And on Facebook, I am Sounds for the Soul. My
Nice.
website is rbsoundhealing.com.
Nice.
So
Yes.
you
The
can
RB
find
is
me
for Robin Barnes.
there. And
Yes.
so
Well, thank you so much for being here and educating me and everyone else about
thank you for
biofield tuning. I love it. And
Thank you for having me. This has been great.
yes, awesome. And I will see you soon.
Yeah, see you soon. Thank you.
Okay, bye. All right, bye.
Bye.